So now we are in Bitah Temple. Bitah Temple, it's a small temple located inside the enclosure wall of Karnak temples, just to the north of Karnak temples, inside the enclosure wall. It's a very small temple dedicated for the triad of Memphis, but here in Thebes, Luxor nowadays. It was dedicated for the triad of Thebes, the god Bitah, the god of the craftsmen, and one of the first creator for the universe in the ancient Egyptian religion, and his consort and his wife, the goddess Sekhmet, the goddess of power, and of course their son, the god Nefertum, the god of beauty. But the most interesting thing in this temple, it's the unique statue, which I think it wasn't repeated again in all of the Egyptian civilization. The goddess Sekhmet had this statue inside her shrine, represented her as a standing woman, as we will see in 2 minutes. So, originally, this temple belongs to the time of the king Thutmose III and the queen Hatshepsut. And this is according to our excavation, which we did inside the shrines, the inner part of the temple, when we found some blocks belongs to this time. Even on the ground, we can see some remains still exist, belongs to the king Thutmose III. And here we can see the name of the king in the cartouche, Men Kheber Ra. And here on the ground we can see the remains of the older temple. For example, here we can see the name of the king Thutmose III during the time of the 19th dynasty in the New Kingdom. And as I told you before, we found some remains of the blocks belongs to the time of the queen Hatshepsut. But originally, this temple, especially this part, belongs to the time of the king Thutmose III and the queen Hatshepsut. But later, during the 25th dynasty, they added some outer parts, and again later, during the Ptolemaic period, they added all of these gates which exist outside, and we can see some remains of the king Ptolemy with his name on everywhere on the walls here in Bitah Temple. Now we are going to see the inner part of the temple, especially the statue, the headless statue of the god Bitah and his consort, the goddess Sekhmet. Please. So, as usual, in the middle shrine, we see the statue of the father or the god. On his right hand, the shrine of the son, and on his left hand, the shrine of his consort or his wife, and in this case, she will be the goddess Sekhmet. So, this headless statue, which we found here in our excavation, made of black granite, and it's a very nice representation for the god Bitah, but unfortunately, it's headless. So, as usual, we can see the necklace on the chest of the god, and in his both hands we can see the sacred scepter, was, and jed. At the bottom of the statue we can see some remains of the statue. Small statue belongs to the king Thutmose III, while he was kneeling to offer the wine, the new vessels which had the wine in front of the statue of the god Bitah. Of course, we unfortunately lost the statue of the son Nefertum. We didn't found it in our excavation. We made excavation here and on the other shrine. We tried to find the statue of the god Nefertum, the son and the last member of the triad of Memphis, but we failed. We didn't found it. Maybe it was stolen in the last times or destroyed, unfortunately. Statues in Karnak temples and more in all of the Egyptian civilization, the statue of the goddess of power, the goddess Sekhmet. So, here, this is the sacred shrine of the goddess Sekhmet. Sekhmet, she who is powerful. And the word Sekhmet, the term Sekhmet, it means in hieroglyphs the might or the power. Actually, the goddess Sekhmet, she was the goddess of the power. She was the goddess of mighty, and she was the protector. So she got many titles and names. For example, she was the protector of the god or the protector of the king. She was a destroyer who used to destroy the evil and devil of the other world. She was the goddess, the courtive goddess, or the goddess of plague. All of these titles belongs to the goddess Sekhmet. So this statue represented the goddess Sekhmet as a standing woman. In her left hand, we can see the waj zepter. Waj in hieroglyphs, it means the papyrus. And on his right hand, we can see the symbol of life, Ankh. And the material or the stone of this statue, it's a very unique one. It's granodiorite, one of the most hardest stones in all of the Egyptian civilization used by the ancient Egyptian. And over her head, we can see the solar disk. And the solar disk sometimes were covered by copper or gold to reflect the sunbeams or the sun rays. So the statue, it was here in its original shrine, represents the goddess Sekhmet as a sitting woman. The goddess Sekhmet, during the time of the king Amenophes, Amenhotep III, in the middle of the 18th dynasty in the New Kingdom, a number of large statues of this goddess, both sitting or standing, were produced and erected in Mut Temple here in the East Bank, or in his mortuary temple in the West Bank behind the Colossi of Memnon. Hundreds of statues for this goddess were erected and made as dedication for the goddess Sekhmet, the goddess of power and might in ancient times. And maybe one of the most important things we must know about this goddess, that she was the goddess of plague. And at the late period, at the end of the Egyptian civilization, the ancient Egyptian, they considered this goddess as the goddess of healing. They used to use the statues of this goddess, the goddess Sekhmet, for the healing. She considered as a curative goddess in ancient times.